Hi, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. We made it through another week. Hooray for us. Alonso's here with Matt and Christy. And as always, we've got news, we've got marquees, we're going to give you the business.
Indeed. So you guys, we are now at a year. It has been a year. It has literally been a year. A year ago today, I was walking out of a movie theater and I checked my phone and I got the email from the school saying that school was going to be shut down for 3 weeks. We were so optimistic back then. They thought, oh, we'll just take 2 weeks off and then it's spring break and we'll come back and it'll be normal. So it has been a year, which I just wanted to acknowledge because, I think a lot of folks are taking stock of where we are. I think back about the conversations that we had a year ago when they all seemed so quaint in retrospect, the idea of like wiping down your groceries.
I had my first hand washing meme come up in Facebook memories. I was like, oh, we were so innocent then.
Right. And the things that like we used to watch, like our escapist television that we used to watch and all the celebrities who were doing their little concerts at home, like John Legend. And like every week I'd watch John Taylor's weekly bass playing seminars, and it seems like a lifetime ago.
I think, Mary Chapin Carpenter is still doing hers. She's been doing a nice weekly thing on Facebook. But yeah, like there was this notion that this was going to be like a lock-in, basically, that it was going to be a contained period of time, and there were some streaming services like, hey, try this out for a whole month, or I think I wrote a piece for TheWrap where I suggested like, here's some long movies that maybe you've been putting off and now you should watch them. And yeah, clearly nobody knew what we were in for.
But there is hope, there is hope right now. We were just talking before we began about how movie theaters are going to reopen next week in LA County. This is the thing that is so important to all of our lives. Indoor dining resumes and gyms are going to reopen and things that perhaps not everyone is prepared for, but the numbers are low enough now in LA County that we're on the verge of re-entering the red tier. And so life can be different.
I just, I want people to remember that, it's not about getting your first vaccine. It's not even about getting your second vaccine. It's about 2 weeks at least after your second vaccine.
Depending on which one you get.
Yeah, that's when you're really like ready to go out there again. And so my concern is that, as we've seen over and over again and never seem to learn from, is that every time we jump the gun, the numbers spike and variants occur. And so it's like, it's great that the ending is in sight, but like, let's not screw it all up until we get there, so continue to wear a mask, continue to wash your hands, take this thing seriously. If you're getting vaccinated, great, but that you're still not out of the woods here. So, don't mess this up, y'all, please.
Matt, what are your feelings on this?
I mean, I don't know that I get that it's hopeful for people who are working at those businesses. But, it does concern me that they still haven't opened up vaccinations to people under 50. The cutoff is still 65.
In California.
In California.
But we had news last night. Biden had that news conference last night. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Where
May 1st, is he saying?
Every single adult in America will either have the vaccine or have at least an appointment to get the vaccine by May 1st. I mean, like he's telling the states to open it up. So like there's hope. It's not going to be so restrictive, right?
Well, I mean, yes, that's assuming that there's, that like him saying that doesn't necessarily magically make the supply and the infrastructure that gets the supply out there suddenly work. So, look, like,
but if there's a federal response that's being orchestrated from the top and the National Guard or the Army or whatever gets involved, that's a hell of a lot better than the previous administration's plan, which was to dump them in.
Agreed. 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 And I think that's great. And I just think that opening theaters and restaurants in LA next week
is a terrible
seems to be jumping the gun. That's just me. I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
It just seems
with
like
restrictions though, with like capacity restrictions.
Sure. I have a more jaundiced view of people's willingness to care about others than I think I ever have before. So I'm entirely ready for the light at the end of the tunnel to turn out to be the headlamp of the oncoming train.
Okay.
But
No,
I'm cynical today.
I'm with you. Like on the, I feel like that yeah, we're on the things are getting better, and we're really taking this thing like we're finally getting the organization behind the vaccines, and all that stuff is happening. But yeah, people have shown themselves very often over the process of this whole thing to be fucking assholes, and they will continue to be fucking assholes, and be like, my freedoms, I can cough on you if I want to because I'm an American, and all that nonsense. And so it's just like, and we've already been seeing the variants happening, and we don't know how all the vaccines are going to do with the variants. Like the science is unfolding before us, and we're figuring out as we go along. And it's like, part of making this thing end is contingent upon people not behaving like fucking assholes, and they don't want to do that. Not everybody, and so that's what we still have to contend with. And also it's like, I don't care about watching, your underpaid movie theater employees scrub down every inch of the place. That's fine and great. But like, how's your air filters system? Like what are we dealing with the air conditioning? Because that's where this thing is being spread.
But I feel like, are they not putting money? Aren't big chains like AMC, et cetera?
I hope so.
Are they putting money into rehabbing all that stuff?
I would like the receipts, please. Like I'm hearing it from certainly like some of the smaller theaters in New York that are reopening, like Film Forum, they're being very specific. We're putting in these medical grade filters, And I have admittedly not gone to the AMC website lately, but if they're doing it, great. But like, make that very clear, because that is one of the things that's a hurdle for me before I feel comfortable getting back into a closed room.
Also opening up starting on April 1st in California are stadiums and ballparks and theme parks at a reduced capacity again, but based on the tier of the county that you're in. So, if you want to go see a Dodger game, that can happen. You want to go to Disneyland, I guess,
Yeah, no, Disneyland and Universal are like champing at the bit. And I mean, are they already open in Florida? Right. I guess Disney World and that.
Yes.
Universal. Yeah.
There are no rules in Florida. Ron DeSantis is their governor.
It's the wild Southeast. Yeah. But apparently that's going to be happening here. So we'll see how that goes.
So I know that there we've been talking in our usual text chain all week long about getting the vaccine and all that, and you guys are hoping to do it next week. Is that correct?
I am hoping that that's going to be happening because they are now opening the door to comorbidities, and I has them. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I until it goes into my arm, I'm treating it. This is a thing that might happen.
But you have an appointment next week.
I have an appointment.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Okay. So you're getting the vaccine next week.
Well, no, I have an appointment. We'll see. Right. Like I'm saying, I have all kinds of doomsday scenarios of why they'll tell me I don't qualify or something. So we'll see what happens.
And then Matt, you are going to make an appointment next week.
I'm going to make an appointment when they open up on Monday. They say they're going to open to people with comorbidities. So that's when I'm going to open up.
There was a vaccine clinic, a one-day pop-up clinic at Pasadena City College. It was supposed to have happened yesterday. That the link for it got sent out to a whole bunch of people who work in entertainment and media and news, and we all got that link. I signed up for an appointment through that link because in my head, I'm like, we should all do our part to get it if we can, help out the greater good. And there was like an entertainment subsection that allegedly, people like us qualify for. We're entertaining. From the comfort of my dining room table, I'm entertaining. So, but I guess they got so overwhelmed with people who weren't supposed to have gotten that link that they then at first told everyone, cancel your appointment. You don't really qualify. And then they just shut the whole thing down entirely because it was such a large percentage of appointments that were ineligible.
Right.
So I was going to get it yesterday, and I will absolutely get it as soon as I possibly can.
Yeah. But, it's been bizarre to watch like the hierarchy of how things have been going, because like I have a friend who is working on a television show that is shooting right now and is going every day. And like, they have a whole system of like zone A, zone B, and everybody's got the masks and all nine yards. But like, he's nowhere near getting a vaccination, and he's out there in the world, interacting with people every day. My friend who works in a grocery store only in the last week or so finally got his. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know, it's baffling. And again, like, if I felt like I was somehow personally body blocking some, older person or a frontline worker or somebody from getting it, I wouldn't be doing it. But because, I'm going by what they're saying they're allowing, and I do have these comorbidities. So it's like, then I'm going to sign up, and hopefully it all comes through.
I'm just too damn healthy.
Clearly.
And younger than you guys. I'm not 50 yet.
You and your walks and your sensible eating and your youth.
I run.
That too.
I'm going to run to the vaccine clinic. Anyway, we have other news to talk about, though, besides COVID stuff. But I wanted to take a moment and just acknowledge that we are a year in, and
sure,
and there's reason for hope. Oscar nominations are on Monday, and we're going to do a special Breakfast All Day episode looking at Oscar nominations, and also we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut of Justice League on Monday, because we will have all seen it by then, and the embargo is up. On Monday, I watched it last night. That's all I'm going to say. It's all I can say. I've seen it. It's in my eyeballs.
I'm watching it Saturday, and we'll come back on Monday after the embargo is lifted with a full report.
All 4 hours, 4+ of the Snyder Cut. And it made my kid watch it too. I'm sorry, Nicholas watched it with me. I got to rephrase that. Okay. So so there is that. But you guys hear this funny story about how the Snyder Cut accidentally got put up on HBO Max?
Yes.
People were trying to tune in and watch Tom and Jerry.
That's what you get for watching Tom and Jerry.
They're virtually indistinguishable. So anyway, so there's that. The Grammys are on Sunday. I totally forgot the Grammys were a thing that even existed, but they're on Sunday.
The Grammys are it's like the MTV Awards, where I'm like, wow, I am old. I don't know who any of these people are.
Well, here's a funny thing with the Grammys is that The Weeknd now says that he is boycotting them for life. He's not want his label ever submitting his work for Grammy consideration ever again, because he got 0 nominations in a year that supposedly he put out his best work ever. He got no nominations, and so he's taking his ball and going home.
Okay, that's his right.
No more.
That at least gives you an out for all the other years they don't nominate you. Well, I didn't even submit.
Yeah, it's strange. We had the Critics'
Give
Choice
Grammys for weird stuff, like best album cover.
There's like 108 something categories.
There's some
like that's the easiest part of the EGOT to get, right? Like, let's be honest, right?
It does. Like, if you could do an audio book and win an EGOT. Like the G in Rita Moreno's EGOT is for the record, the soundtrack album they put out for the Electric Company.
That counts.
Yeah, that's her Grammy.
Right.
And her Emmy was for guesting on the Muppet Show. So, she owes PBS a lot.
All right.
The Critics' Choice Awards were last
And I know the
weekend,
Muppet Show wasn't a PBS show. Don't write me in.
Yeah. The Critics' Choice Awards were last week. Our friends who are broadcast critics vote on these things. But the highlight of the evening was young Alan S. Kim winning for Best Young Actor or Actress for Minari. And he was all dressed up, and they're all their little Zoom cameras or whatever. And he's at home in his little tux, and he won, and he was sobbing so deeply that he was like incomprehensible. Oh. He was like, it was the sweetest.
Have a
thing.
bottle, you big baby.
The sweetest thing I've ever seen. He's such a good actor, and he's great in this. So that was really sweet. Did you guys watch the Harry and Meghan interview on Oprah?
Oh yeah,
no.
You watched it. What'd you guys think?
I did.
What'd you think?
I mean, it wasn't a ton that we didn't know or couldn't guess, but I mean, there were definitely some moments, like the idea that someone in the royal family would actually raise a question of what color young Archie was going to be. Is like, oh my God. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, oh, wait, the British Empire, the most colonizing people who ever lived, are racist too? Fetch me my smelling salts, Actually, I think what was a shocking revelation was the idea that the royal family throws a big Christmas party at Buckingham Palace every year for the tabloids. That, you know, we talk about the Hollywood foreign press or whatever, but it's like, that's just kind of shocking that like there's that much suck-uppery going on to the people that they're clearly trying to like, I don't know, you would think they would have more clout, that they wouldn't have to kowtow to those guys, but apparently they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I shudder to think what the catch and release stories are, or I'm sorry, the catch and kill stories they have, right? Because there's that whole thing about some of the stories that, you know, here, like somebody would pay, like stories about, you know, accusations against whoever, and those stories would get exclusively sold to the Inquirer, who would then just bury the story.
Right.
And I can only imagine what those stories are like over at the tabloids in Britain.
For sure.
Well, an interesting part of this whole dynamic with Meghan is that they weren't wise enough or didn't have the perspective enough to really capitalize on her popularity and her ability to reach people and her ability to connect in a totally different way. There's such insularity there within the monarchy that they didn't view her as an asset. You know, they viewed her as a threat, and they were jealous of the positive press that she was getting.
Here's the thing that I find really shocking. Like, they keep talking about the firm, right? Like it's a business. And I keep thinking like, well, you can tell that firm has no experience like we have with big businesses here. How did they not get her to sign an NDA? Right? Like,
well, I mean, and believe me, there's plenty they're not telling us so far anyway, but yeah, but no, you're right, Christy. It's like, but you have to look, this is the same firm that chewed up and spit out Diana and like all but destroyed Fergie, as you know. And it's like, I'm sure Kate Middleton comes from a posh enough background to know what she was in for and to know what's expected of her. But anybody who isn't, like, yeah, they just let them run roughshod. And I think the subtext of this whole thing is that like Harry saw what happened to his mother. He didn't want to watch it happen again to his wife, you know.
Well, and he's not on right. And the difference with Harry and say William is that Harry's not in line to be king. Right? Like he's not, unless something terrible happens to William, like Harry's not going to be king. So he has the luxury, he has the freedom to do something that William doesn't really have to do. And honestly, there's probably more pressure on Kate to have to learn to play that game and play it well, that Meghan probably has the luxury of not having to play. Like they were able to take their ball and go home.
They can hang out in Montecito. And they take their ball to Montecito and play with Oprah.
Exactly. Via Tyler Perry's house.
Is that whose it was? I know they said it was a friend.
No. Tyler Perry is the one who like gave them a place to stay and security when they were first leaving. Oh. They talk about that in the interview.
Oh, I didn't actually watch the whole thing.
Oh, see, I'm just imagining Tyler Perry being like, look, stay as long as you want and I will provide whatever security detail you need. Tell me everything, girl.
Yeah. She can do a cameo in the next Medea movie.
Yeah, he's going to get a whole season of The Oval out of this.
No, it's going to be Diary of a Mad Black Princess.
That's really funny. But Prince William responded to the whole idea of, you know, he's saying we are not a racist family. So...
he's got to say that, right? Like
that's a good look on white people to come up with that one. What?
He was in some photo op surrounded by black people when he was saying it, so it seems he's very cognizant of this bad look here.
That was painful. That was like, oh, come on.
Speaking of British people behaving badly, did you guys see Piers Morgan storming off the set of his morning TV show?
What a tit! Like that, and
what an asshole.
Did you see the clip of like back when Meghan was just like an actress on Suits, and he did an interview with her, and they were all chummy. So you know that was like he thought they were friends, and then suddenly she stopped returning his calls, and he's like, "Oh, bitch thinks she's so fancy now. I'm gonna take her down." That's all that is.
Well, they'd had drinks. He's been dining out on this story for years about how in 2016 they had drinks. She had a couple martinis, a couple beers at some bar, and then she got in a cab because she had a party to go to, and at that party she met Harry.
Right, but all of his animosity toward Meghan Markle is basically as a starfucker spurned.
Yeah. Or maybe he really thought he might have a chance for something beyond just figurative star fucking,
yeah, also a possibility, yes.
It's
like they had a date, she didn't call him back, and he won't fucking let it go.
It's toxic masculinity.
Yeah, I mean, dude, enough already. Like, she doesn't want to talk to you. She doesn't want to
She's
call
not
you.
that into you.
Enough, right. Enough.
Yeah. So he's no longer the co-host of Good Morning Britain, and he stormed off the set, and
he's trying to blame it on cancel culture. It's like, dude, you threw a hissy fit and left.
You canceled yourself.
You canceled yourself.
Right. This is where everybody sends it back to DJ Colin. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yes. Let's talk about Stacy Dash.
Sure.
Okay.
So Stacy Dash, co-star of Clueless, in more recent years has become a conservative pundit. She was on Fox News Channel for many years, and she was like the rare Black conservative, super fervent Trump supporter, and would always take that stance on things. And now says she apologizes that the angry conservative Black woman was a persona that she put on. She was really angry back then. She's done with politics. And it was this whole interview where she's referring to herself in the third person, saying, that's how Stacy was then, but that's not how Stacy is anymore.
Okay.
So good try.
Look, like to play devil's advocate here,
okay.
Because she's the devil and I'm advocate. No, look, like if she's really turning over a leaf and she's really decided to put some stuff behind her and be a better, nicer person and not, start fires on Fox and throw bombs and be nasty, good for her, right? Like that's great. And one of the things that I think that everybody needs to be careful about is that there has to be a way to come back from certain things, because otherwise then why bother changing, right? Like why bother learning the error of your ways if that's going to define you permanently? Now, obviously there are certain things that like, oh yeah, you murdered a bus full of penguins and by dropping it on a school and killing all those kids. Okay, you're out. But
people are allowed to evolve in their points.
People are allowed to evolve, and if we can't let them evolve, then why would they bother to, right? And I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, and until we see something otherwise. Right. The other thing I just want to say, like, I'm still impressed that she has never seemed to age.
Yeah,
that's true. She was playing high school. Like she was already like well into her 20s when she did Clueless, and then she did Clueless, the TV show, when she still looked like a high schooler.
Like she could still do that practically, right? So I guess if you're an immortal vampire, at some point you got to dig yourself out of the hole and say, "Hey, I need to be cool again."
Look, if this is a genuine change of heart on her part, good for her. I think what's incumbent upon her now is, now that she has said her piece, to start walking the walk a bit before, and not just telling us over and over again how she's a different person. I think she's still going to be in that Roe v. Wade movie that the guy who sued Sofia Vergara for her eggs just produced. But, there's that to look forward to. And no, we're not reviewing it. I'm not watching that movie.
That's a whole big celeb word salad right there. You just dropped on us.
Sorry.
That is a lot. What else do I have for you? A couple more things. Oh, we forgot to mention DGA nominations, Directors Guild nominations came out this past week, and those are quite frequently a pretty good indicator of what might happen on the Oscars. Of course, Oscar nominations are on Monday, so we'll find out then. But Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, David Fincher for Mank, Aaron Sorkin for Trial of Chicago 7, and Chloe Zhao for Nomadland are your 5 Best Director nominees. And then they also do a first-time director category, which include this time Rada Blank for the 40-year-old version, and Regina King for One Night in Miami, Florian Zeller for The Father, which we're talking about soon. Today. Fernando Frias de la Parra, who did I'm No Longer Here.
Oh, nice. That? Okay. Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
I think we
did. Really good. I wrote about it. It's really good.
Dave and I did.
And Darius Martyr, who did Santa Meadow. So a really cool cross section of people.
Wait, isn't Emerald Fennell also a first-time director?
She is.
So she gets the big show, and Regina King gets to be in first time.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how these things shake out, but yeah, that was her first feature as well. So.
Okay, Directors Guild. Okay.
I see you.
Yeah, the ACE Awards, the Editors Awards were announced today too. Awards. Right. Which I don't think they've done in a while.
No, they don't.
Right.
They're called the Emmys
the only one I caught was Sound of Metal was up for an editing award.
Yeah.
And I think Mank, but I didn't watch the whole list. So I'm mentioning that they happened, but I have no details. So
thank you.
Yeah, I don't have them at my fingertips, but like, yeah, if you want to Google these, like the Producers Guild Awards came out, and a lot, the Annies, right? I think those pretty much nobody wants to announce after the Oscars, so it's all happening now.
Yeah, they're all leading up to it. You guys mentioned this to me because I enjoy any and all Armie Hammer updates. There's a big piece in Vanity Fair, not just about Armie Hammer, but about like the generations of his family, the men in his family going back, and all of their like crimes and moral dilemmas and cheating and kinky sex. And anyway, it's a long read, and it all kind of like, I'm not sure that the actual Armie Hammer information is new. It's just sort of like looking at him through the prism of here's his incredibly wealthy family that he came from that's very screwed up.
I haven't read it yet. I read one of those, like, here's 8 bombshell takeaways from the Vanity Fair piece, and one of them is that Armie Hammer is broke. But I don't know if that's true or not.
I mean, the women he has dated have said that like he never has any money, and he makes them pay for stuff.
Yeah, I read the article, and
maybe he's just cheap.
There was some interesting stuff in it. I will say, like, like him being abusive, that sucks, right? Like that needs to change. But let's be clear, like if he's just kinky, like, okay, sure, right? Like consenting adults can do whatever they want, right?
I guess it depends on who you ask, right? Because there are varying accounts as to what's really happening.
And who's consenting,
And that's what I mean. Like abuse that's a different thing, right? Like abuse should not be conflated and mean the same thing as people who are into BDSM. Like they're different things.
But the heart of BDSM is consent. Yes.
Right. But consent's important, but
And talking about wanting to eat somebody's rib is not the same as actual cannibalism.
Correct.
Let's differentiate. There you go. So anyway, it's a long, interesting article. There is that. Also, TCM Fest is going to stream on TCM and HBO Max starting on May 6th for your viewing enjoyment. And finally, for you, there's a musical of the Queen's Gambit in the works. And I hope Chris is handing me news. We have breaking news. California vaccinates 2 million in low-income areas, triggering green light for wider reopenings. Yeah, some large urban counties, including LA, Orange, San Bernardino, to resume indoor dining, welcome students in grades 7 through 12 back to in-person classes. So it's all happening. Yeah, my kid goes back to school on Monday. Nick goes back for half days on Monday. I'm really excited. And the middle schools and high schools down here are opening on April 12th.
And you said that where you are, they were really making an effort to make sure that all the teachers and staff got vaccinated?
Yeah, they have a whole deal through Beach City's health district to get all the on-campus folks vaccinated. So
good.
Yeah, I will admit I'm very nervous about the idea of Gabe going back to school because I am fairly sure that I would not survive getting the virus.
Well, I mean, like one of my brother who lives in Atlanta, one of his like youngest, like kindergarten age kid had an exposure, and so they had to, they had to quarantine him at home basically. So you got a house, that's if heaven forfend that you have to cross that bridge, like there are ways for him to be there and not.
We could barely get Gabe to shower. I mean,
it's a challenge.
Yeah, well, of
boys.
course it is. Yes.
I hear you. But they have all kinds of protocols in place as far as like you've got to show a little green screen when you get to campus to show that you've not had any kind of exposure, and they're all separated out, and they've got little plexiglass dividers, and it's only 17 kids in the morning and 17 kids in the afternoon, and so
they laugh when I said that we should get those space helmet bubble things, but
yeah. Anyway, I am excited. I'm happy and I'm ready. So it's going to be good. So I've optimism all around.
You just want that Wi-Fi to yourself.
I do. He has school, and then he has like video game club, and then he has like,
Yeah, but the gaming is not is not bandwidth intensive.
No, Roblox is not.
It's not.
Yeah, but if
it's
video club, he's zooming and he's video gaming.
Well, the video streaming is that's the big.
Yeah,
that's the big
Wi-Fi suck
bandwidth. You're right. That one uses a lot of bandwidth, but like online gaming, it's not that big a suck.
Anyway, it's going to be good. I'm optimistic. Matt, you have marquees for us, correct?
Yes, I do. I only have a couple, but let me get them ready. So this is the IFC Center. This is what we used at the top of the show for the card today. We used this same marquee, not the same picture, but the same marquee last week because they had said that they were going to be opening on the 5th. And now they are proudly proclaiming that they are back. This is the IFC Center in New York City. They are currently showing My Salinger Year, The Vigil, La Llorona, MLK and FBI, also Da 5 Bloods, Mank, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Trial of the Chicago 7. So clearly they are showing some Netflix movies. And you can get tickets at ifccenter.com. And we're very glad to see them back. In spite of my complaints about people not being vaccinated, I am very excited to be able to go back to the movies eventually.
And IFC is taking all the precautions that Alonso was speaking about in terms of like masks and ventilation and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Geoff Swanson sent us some pictures and saying that these are pictures from the Riverview, which he sent us before. Very reliable. Thank you, Geoff, for sending those in. These are, he says, spring is coming to Minneapolis this week. Snow is melting. Spirits are up with increased vaccination rates. Here's the Riverview Theater this week with similar optimism. Always look on the bright side of life. Brian. I don't think that's actually Brian that says that. But
that's true. It's the guy next to Brian.
Right. And then he who laughs most learns best. John Cleese.
Oh, John Cleese. There's so many things you still need to learn about.
Yes. I'm very sad that this doesn't say biggest dickus, but whatever. Anyway, that's it for Marquise this week. Thank you, Geoff, for sending those in.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, as your local theaters start reopening, if their marquees are clever or interesting or poignant or whatever, feel free to send them our way via any of our social media, which is of course at Be Fast All Day. Thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Every month we get our subscribers to pick a classic film for us to talk about. This month we came up with 5 Irish or Irish adjacent titles, and our subscribers picked for us the wonderful John Huston 1987 James Joyce adaptation, The Dead, which was Huston's final film, and we'll be reviewing that exclusively for our Patreon folks. So go check that out, patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Have a good week, you guys. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.